Hello and welcome back to Outside Voice Inside, episode 56, The Financial Impact of Death. But before we jump into that, I am Syn Delano. This has been a chill week. My kid's social life is like always something going on. One of her little friends has a birthday coming up, so they go have a little birthday dinner um on Monday. Then there's a sleepover happening at my house. So I didn't orchestrate this, but next weekend. And then her birthday's in two weeks after that. Bug's birthday. Bug is turning 14.
I'm still
And
shaking my head.
even though her birthday list is fairly short, it's Bug has expensive tastes.
Hey, I wonder who she got that from.
I'm not saying it didn't come from me, but I'm like, the thing is, when she was little, there would be tons of stuff on the list, right? And it would pretty much be everything you could get from five below. Not no more. This nigga's expensive, okay? And she only gets more expensive the older she gets. I listen, I need to make more money. That was that was the realization of this week. Not because I want to give her things, but she's just getting older. So literally everything costs more. Everything. I can't I can't buy her little $3 shirts anymore. Not unless it is a super sale at Forever 21. Our bug is growing up. How has your who are you and how has your week been?
Yeah. Um, Hi, I'm Tam Joyner, and I don't know if my week has been chaotic or not. Um, because work hasn't really been chaotic. It just in my mind it's been chaotic. But that can probably be because since we moved, I have not been on my meds regularly like I should be.
Mm.
Because of the inconsistencies of being in a new place, things are different in different places. And so I have to set things up because anybody who knows me knows that I work better with routine than anything. It's kind of my thing. So I did finally get my meds together. Look, I'm an old lady, so I got the AM and PM like you see your grandma with. And the reason I do it is because I what happens is that I will take my meds and then because my memory is for shit, you know this, that I'll be like, did I take my meds? So to prevent me from taking them twice in a day, I have to organize them. So I have organized myself, and by having this organization and taking my meds like I'm supposed to, I actually got a full night's sleep 2 nights in a row, which
Good for
I
you.
hadn't happened for weeks. So I knew once I started taking my meds that that was what was preventing me from sleeping at night. So once I got that together, everything kind of fell into place. I finally got my. I took a chance and ordered something from Temu, and the first package never came, and I was like, these heifers gonna have to give me my money back. And then I said, yeah, I'm gonna give you the opportunity to reship the items I purchased. Now, mind you, I didn't spend over $20. So I really, if it got lost, I wasn't losing money per se. But everybody talks about Timu, and I was like, let me try and see. I was satisfied with what I received. I can say that. I'm all right. So I did get my reshipment. I got myself some new slides, a shoe rack for all the shoes that I have, so I can organize my room. So it's just been, I'm just trying to put my life back together this week. But other than that, it's been fine.
Yeah, it hasn't been a busy week, and I'm grateful for that. It gives me time to rest. So shout out to getting sleep. I'm trying to decide. I, yeah, let's talk about our speaker box. What have you been listening to?
So anybody who knows me knows that I find myself sometimes where I delve into different music just because most of the times because I love it, but I go heavy overdose on it. So I've been overdosing on Amapiano. And so if anybody knows about Amapiano, you know about Uncle Waffles. First of all, I'd like to say Uncle Waffles is a woman. Uncle Waffles is not a man. Uncle Waffles is a chick. Just so if you go somewhere and they said it's Uncle Waffles and you see a girl that you like, they lying to me. No, Uncle Waffles is a chick. It's not gonna be other people performing in their place like some artists have done. And she put out a new project called Solace, but the first track on it is called Echoes, and it's a really good track. Most of the time, you think piano music, you think a lot of high energy dancing, but this particular tune is very much like a slow jam. It's different, but it's still piano at its core. So Echoes by Uncle Waffles, and there's a guy that's on. I feel like his name is something with the word amethyst in it. It's a guy on TikTok who does recreations of old videos from the 80s. And he did a recreation of Swing Out Sisters Breakout. But Breakout was like one of my favorite songs when I was a youth because, you know, I felt edgy because I liked white people music. It was poppy. So I felt edgy because it was poppy and it wasn't just R&B music. But Swing Out Sister was one of my favorite groups, and they had a tune called Breakout. So I've been listening to that because it just, he unlocked a memory, a core memory for me when I saw the video. So and it was really funny because I always send them to my friend Heather, who I grew up with. And she said, every time you send me one of these, she said, it makes me go back and watch the original video to see if he got everything exactly like the video. And she said that he never misses a beat. And I was just like, so I'm bringing back memories for everybody when I post those. So, and you were listening to, ma'am.
Kevin Ross and Eric Bellinger have a song out together. I just want them to just do an album together.
Yeah.
Please. I would be happy with that. Ready for it. It's been on repeat all week. Also, the They Clone Tyrone soundtrack is really good. If you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. There was a song on there that I was listening to, Round and Round, by these two artists. I never heard of them before, FCG Heem and Journey Bell. It was really good.
I feel like I've heard of Journey Bell before though.
Yeah. And she spells her name like Journey. What's her name?
Yes.
What's his name, sister?
Yes.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yep.
Smollett.
Yes.
Smollett. How do you say it?
Yeah.
She spells her name the same way. I had a moment of pure excitement because I thought Kid Cudi's new album came out, and I was very wrong. It doesn't come out until September 21st. I got real excited, like, oh my God. And then Apple just had a track list with no track names. And I was like, you bitch.
Yes. I've seen that where that's what me and Nikki were talking about Teddy Swims about when his album comes out because it comes out in September. Mm-hmm. But I was like, on Tidal, there's a track listing. I said, but I just can't play nothing. Like,
it's so why would you
do this? Why would you do this?
Why would you get my heart beating like this, Cudi? Why? Trying to give me a heart attack. So, needless to say, I've been listening to more Cudi because I can't wait till that comes out. I surprise myself even with listening to some stuff, and I'm like, God, I haven't heard. Well, I haven't consistently been listening to Cudi for a few months, but I still be knowing all the words. And it's like, does that ever go away? And then I think about all the 80s music come on and I still remember the words and I'm like, it's never gonna go
No,
away.
it's never gonna go away. And that's the thing, is that I pride myself on still knowing the words to things that I heard when I was 11 or 12 years old, and I can recite it word for word. You know, they always ask that, if somebody held a gun to your head, what hip hop song could you recite word for word? And I'd be like, Big Daddy Kane. I get wrong.
I will say there is a special on Netflix about the women in hip hop. And when they were bringing up those MC Light songs, I was like, oh my God, I remember all the MC Light songs.
Yeah.
Yo Yo was like, before the world, before I was exposed to like Little Kim and Foxy Brown and, you know, the raunchy girls of rap, I was like Queen Latifah, MC Light, Moni Love, and Yo Yo was, and the Conscious Daughters and Lady of Rage. That was my bitches. Okay. It was my bitches. And then I don't know, Little Kim came out and I was like, oh my God, this can exist too?
Yeah.
What?
I can honestly say, when they were talking about Kim, when Kim and Foxy came out, I
Yeah.
can honestly say I was a Foxy fan at the time.
Really?
And it wasn't like you choose. It was just kind of like I just liked Foxy Brown a little more, but I always felt like um they tried to always pit them against each
Yeah,
other.
they
And
did.
I didn't like that. It's like, I didn't dislike Little Kim. It's just that I just liked Foxy Brown more. But then,
Mm-hmm.
as you grow older, you realize I was also a Little Kim fan, because I knew those songs just as much as I knew the Foxy. You know, understand what I'm saying? Like, you realize that you know more about something as you grow older, when people start to ask you questions about it. And you're like, damn, I was a fan. Like, but you didn't categorize yourself that way.
Listen, I think I stopped being a hardcore Kim fan. Her music changed and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not feeling it. But I tell people this, like, when I say Queen B, I'm talking about Kim. I'm not talking about Beyonce. That's no
Right.
shade to the Hive, but that was Kim's nickname.
Yeah, that was her nickname.
Little Kim the Queen Bee.
Yeah.
Like, that's where my tattoo, Kid This Bee, that is,
I mean, she says
it's
it in the
old.
song. You want
Thank
to
you.
bubble with the bee, huh? Bzz. She said
I
it
just,
before Beyonce was out there, Queen Bee. So
yes, I thought
yeah.
it was cool as shit. And I'm mentioning this while we talk about the Speakerboxxx because the I call them the raunchy girls. The raunchy girls of today get a bad rap, and they're just people my age who listen to Kim and Foxy talk so much shit about Suki. They talk shit about this new girl, Sexy Red, of course, Cardi, Meg, Lotto, Sweetie, all of them, and it's just like I I as much as I support women and I love women, I want to punch all these bitches' teeth out who talk shit about these girls because we like stop being an old bitch that's telling people to get off the lawn. That's what you're doing. You've become the old bitch who acts like you're too good when you were in the car listening to Kim and reciting all these lyrics with me. Now,
Yeah.
granted, can people evolve into something else? Yes, they
Yeah.
can. But stop acting like at no time whatsoever were you on this vibe.
Right.
I've never let go of it because I think my sex positivity has just grown and evolved as the years go on. And I make space for the young girls. I may not be doing whole is life in that way, right?
Right.
But I'm not gonna take that from you as if I didn't need my space growing up. I don't think Suki is still like, even when we look at Trina, right?
Right.
Trina was a hot girl, right?
Yeah.
Trina don't still dress like that now.
Right.
I feel like she still embodies that. That was another one.
Yeah.
Trina, I feel like they didn't talk in that documentary. They didn't talk about a lot of the women that paved the way for the current hip hop girls today. They talked more so about, I feel like there was some respectability politics being pushed out.
Well, I feel like when they did this documentary, they had nuanced topics that they wanted to cover.
Yeah.
And I think in having those nuanced topics that they wanted to cover, that they minimize. I mean, here's the thing. I feel like they could do a whole another 4 episodes of that.
Oh yeah, they can. I hope that they do.
Easy.
I hope they do. I hope they get a pulse check, like
yes.
what the people thought about it, and then put more out.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this in case Walita's listening to this episode. Dr. Joan was in there, and she mentioned there was respectability politics going on. And I was like, yes.
Oh my God, when she came across
the
scene and came across the screen and she said that, I said, oh, thank you, Lord.
We was waiting. We was
hoping. Because after reading that book, girl, I was like, after reading that book the second time, I had to contend with some of the thoughts that I had as a young woman and some of the ways I behaved and treated people, because I was the queen of a respectability politic. Trust me, I was. I know I was.
I know I was.
I mean, you know, raised in the church in the South. You gonna have
and that isn't, you know, and I'm not even finna sit up here and act like I maybe have never said anything that was heavily drenched in respectability politics, because I was raised in a very religious household too. It's just like, respect yourself.
And that's really, I feel like the root of a lot of it is the church. We have always had to say the root of a lot of that is what you're taught in the church. And you know, again, most of the women that are mad about the raunchy girls or the girls who spent their life saving themselves for the man, and the sex is bad, and they mad.
Only if everybody
was out here having lots of sex, and they still got married, and they got married before you. So, like, you know, like there's a lot of bitterness in that. We could talk years about that, but that's not the topic today. But yes,
right. Moving on. That's a great segue into the ghetto-ness that is this planet Earth. The world is a ghetto. It doesn't stop. I'm gonna read this because I just feel like summarizing this is not gonna hit the same way as if I read it. Rudolph Giuliani is running out of money and looking to collect from a longtime client who has yet to pay. Former President Donald J. Trump. Rudy, you're never getting your money. I want you to know that.
But hold your breath. Hold your breath, Rudy. Hold your breath.
To recover the millions of dollars he believes he is owed for his efforts to keep Mr. Trump in power, Mr. Giuliani first deferred to his lawyer, who pressed anyone in Mr. Trump's circle who would listen. So you are basically begging this man who is being indicted out the ass crack, okay, who is, if Trump doesn't go to jail, like, we do live in hell. If Trump doesn't go to jail, we live in hell. So you are trying to get money from this man who it's not going very good for him right now. You are begging for money because you are fucking broke. They say he's near a financial breaking point with a pile of legal bills. You're at the breaking point, sir. But here's where, this is why it's so ghetto. Anytime someone is in this situation where they have to go beg somebody else for the millions of dollars that they feel that they are owed, right? And they funded you to keep you in a position of power, you are an idiot to not pay them, especially while you're being indicted, because I guarantee you Rudy is going to find some way. If you don't pay this nigga Trump, Rudy is going to find a way to give the government everything he possibly can about your ass without indicting himself.
Wait a minute. How about this? You know he was included in that RICO indictment in Georgia. Rudy was.
What?
You know that Fannie Willis, Fulton County, hit
Yeah.
Donald J. Trump with a RICO charge,
Yes.
and Rudy Giuliani is a part of that RICO charge. So either he need to pay him, or this nigga finna sing like a goddamn bird.
I was trying to figure out the connection because his Rudy Giuliani's law license has been suspended because of his work to overturn the election. I didn't know that was here in Georgia.
Oh, just like Kanye West's old manager is going to prison too because she went to the lady house to try to get her to change her vote. And they got it on body cam from the goddamn police department because the lady didn't feel safe talking to her in her home. And she said, meet me at the police station. Had the police officer stand in the room and record it on his body cam. You is live on 4K.
Oh, this is so ghetto. But let me tell you what's even like this is ghetto. It's what even makes this more ghetto is they make it seem like Rudy Giuliani is like ain't even making what you and me make, right?
Right.
Like he ain't got no money. He earns roughly $400,000 a year from his WABC radio show. He also gets some income from a podcast he hosts. And according to another person familiar, a live stream broadcast. The three cash streams are nowhere near enough to cover his debts. A legal defense fund set up by his friends to raise $5 million for him in 2021 took down its site after raising less than $10,000. My nigga, if
What
you
friend?
have so many bills that $400,000 a year cannot cover them, like what you want us like I have no sympathy for you, bruh, because first of all you're a terrible person. Secondly, welcome to how it feels to be poor. Like your debt to income ratio looking mad crazy right now.
Is looking not the good.
And begging this motherfucker Trump for money, like you look insane, dude. You look in fucking insane. But I guess he's just like, listen, a closed mouth don't get fed. Let me just keep asking, and eventually maybe I'll get something. You're not getting anything, bruh.
Not a goddamn thing.
That's my ghetto
I mean, you
amongst
can
the
hope and
rest of the world
pray
on
for
fire.
some things, but that's it, it's not happening, brother. Like it's just not happening.
It's not.
So my ghetto takes us back to good old California. Look, I'm gonna leave Florida alone today because I gotta handle Northern California right now. So the
Oh,
federal, I know, girl, the federal
it
government
hurts.
has been investigating the Antioch and Pittsburgh, California police departments for 18 months. And now 50%, is it 50% or 50? Oh, that's what it is. Um, More than 100 FBI agents deployed to make arrests because the information they found in their investigation. And I feel like more than half of the police department is on leave because they were a part of the investigation. And I think it was into civil rights violations as they had found text messages with them using the N word and calling the black people monkeys and creating
Oh,
lies and alibis for crimes that they committed. They were taking bribes on duty. Like it's a whole lot. And what I found out earlier this morning was that a part of the police department kind of protocols that if you wanted to pay bump up to 10%, if you got a degree, you could get this pay bump. But then found out that a lot of the police officers that got degrees, they were fake degrees, that somebody else was taking the classes for them under their name. And so all the bonuses that they got, they will have to repay and all these different things. But I was trying to find like a whole list of the oh, okay, here we go. The grand jury's indictments. Oh, this is fun. College degree benefits fraud. So, like I said, 6 officers claim they earned college credits toward degrees when in fact they hired people to take classes and exams for them. That's the first part. Indictment number 2: steroid drug dealing. There was a duo that was charged with conspiracy to distribute anabolic steroids and possession with intent to distribute steroids and destroying evidence. Indictment 3: obstruction of a federal investigation. They destroyed evidence, falsified records, and deprivation of rights under color of law. So that's indictment 3. Indictment 4 is deprivation of rights, and it says the police officers committed a disturbing litany of civil rights violations.
Oh.
Okay. Oh God. Officers were accused of collecting trophies from shooting scenes, writing racist text messages, excessively deploying K9 units to attack suspects, using a 40mm launchers as punishment, and intentionally leaving their body-worn cameras off.
Wow, these niggas was really trying to go back to the Wild Wild West with they shit.
Yes. So those are the indictments. And yeah.
Good luck, law enforcement.
I need to see more of this. I need to see more of this across the country. More of this across the country.
Yes, please.
Please.
Get them.
Get them.
Get them. We can talk ad nauseum about how ghetto this world is because it is constantly on fire and someone is constantly doing some ghetto shit. But let's get into episode 56, the financial impact of death. And I think death is such a heavy topic that I haven't been dreading this conversation, but someone was like, why did y'all choose to talk about this? And it's like, because our podcast is about our relationship with things. Like, we're normalizing these things that everyone has a relationship with. It's not, we don't cease to have a relationship with it simply because it's heavy and we don't talk about it. But I think there are things that we need to talk about when it comes to death that they're kind of glossed over any other time, or they come up and we have these wild fucking assumptions and these crazy ass conversations that they wouldn't be like this if we talked about it more.
Right.
So, like, the cost of funerals in itself, and I understand, you know, this is legit. It gives people the last time to see you, right? If you have the funeral or memorial service. I know some people don't like to call it a funeral, but you know, you have your little going home for whomever, and people like to use the casket so it's the last time people can see them. However, that is the most expensive way to bury somebody. It's one of the, like, it legit, these caskets cost how much cars cost.
Yeah, they do.
And I'm talking about like mid-size sedan type of car.
Yeah.
Small car to mid-size sedan.
Yeah.
And there are other options out there. But then people are just like, oh, but the body is sacred. It's so many things that go into the cost of a funeral. It's not even just the burial part, right? Because you can do cremation, which is, I believe cremation is like $6,000 to $9,000, right? And that is just you burn the body and they give you the ashes and you do whatever the fuck you want to do with the ashes. Me personally, Logan has her instructions. I actually need to put it in the will that you guys are to plant me as a tree.
Okay.
That is your instructions. Like, this is how we keep the cycle of life going, right? Because trees can be around forever. but there's all different types of things that you can do. And I don't think people talk about that enough. And
Right.
it's not only is it a cost saver, it's that box is going to go in the ground and deteriorate.
Yeah.
You pretty much, it's like taking a lump, thousands of dollars, and just burying it and letting it rot in the
But you
ground.
know, you want to. Here's the thing that cremation definitely is less expensive
Mm-hmm.
uh, than being buried in a big old casket. Um, but I think that a lot of times the way people think about funerals, and I know this is the comparison, it's like weddings.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily for the person as much as it's for the outsiders.
Yes.
And that's you know the times you get the big funerals and the people be having the horse-drawn carriage down the street to the the whole nine. And you know where I'm from, we have particular funeral homes that the family work with. Like, so we'll be
Mm-hmm.
like, who did you? Okay, I can say for in Atlanta, it would be like everybody talking about Willie Watkins. That's what it's so like in Virginia, they'll be like, well, who got the baddie? You know, we had these
Mm-hmm.
conversations, and they will say, like, so for my family, there's a particular funeral home that they always work with. So it's like, like when my grandmother on my father's side died, whoever did my grandmother's funeral was the same one who did my uncle's funeral because
Mm-hmm.
he actually passed away the week before her. So it was kind of you know some of those things. But again, it's really for other people. It's very much for other people to see.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, like my uncle was a Coast Guard vet, I believe, or Air Force. I'm sorry, my cousin. And when he got buried, he had like a simple casket, but he also, because of his military service, he was able to be buried in the military cemetery, just like military wives can be buried there too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and his service was very simple, but it was, we had a service, and then they had the military burial. When they are in the military, they have a certain thing that they do, for the family. And so instead of us doing like a burial like we would do at a regular funeral, we let the military take care of that portion and do that. So it was kind of like, but again, it's for other people to see, to comment, because at the repast, what they say, oh, that service in that casket was beautiful. You know,
Yes.
you sent her home in a beautiful way. It's very much about what other people think. I'm saying this as I'm saying this, I'm like, that is horrible. Like in my mind, I'm like, you just want to lay your, family member or whoever your loved one to rest. But at the end of the day, you're trying to impress other people with your funeral skills, unfortunately. And that
It's
costs a lot of money.
it does. So that's kind of where the life insurance policies come in is there are policies I believe this could have changed, but when I had talked to my dad, he was telling me he had a policy that covered his death and everything. So we
Uh-huh.
wouldn't have to worry about that. It was all paid up front and everything. And these are some of the things, like when we talk about life insurance policies, a lot of times people are trying to bully people into getting them. And it's like, first of all, I will never, ever get a life insurance policy from anyone who tries to shame me into getting one. Like saying, "Oh,
Maybe.
you can afford to pay this, this, and this, but you can't buy a life insurance policy. Why would I want to get one from you?" That is something that is it's a very personal thing, and I'm supposed to just give you my money because you made me feel bad about not having one. Like,
Exactly.
I feel like people who sell life insurance policies, yes, it's a good business, right? But also you have to have some level of emotional intelligence, a very high level of emotional intelligence, because it's about me dying.
Yeah. And that,
So
ugh,
can you,
salespeople are terrible.
right? Can you talk to me like this is a huge life decision? Because it is. The amount of money that it needs to be for, like, I, and this is why the financial impact of death. First of all, you're emotionally all over the place.
Correct.
The last thing you want to think about is all these bills you have to pay. There was a time when people died, their debt died with them. Now they be trying to pass that shit off to the living family members. It's like, is it not enough that we have lost this person in death? And now you want me to pay all their bills? I can barely pay my bills. Like, fuck
Right.
you. And I'm not paying that shit.
Yeah.
It's weird, this ghetto fucking world we live in. It How it makes everything cost something, to the point where it's just like, let me make sure I have my shit together so when I die, I'm
Yeah.
not a continued financial burden
On
now
my
on
family.
my family.
And I think that is the intent when people do get life insurance policies, is that when when you not here anymore, that they're able to take care of things and move forward and not be stuck because of bills that you left. A lot of times that I think that is the intent when people do get life insurance policies. I always thought it's always this running joke that when Black people died, it'd be like 3 weeks before they had a funeral. And I always understood the joke because the understanding was that they had to raise the money to have the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, it's a joke, but it's like serious business. So even so, to the point that it's so consistent within our community that when my cousin's husband passed away and they had his funeral the very next week, do you know what I said to my mama when she told me that? I said, "Oh, that's fast."
That is fast.
That was the first thing. But that was the thing that she said, well, they had everything they needed to have a funeral. There was no need to wait. And
That is
those were her
fast.
exact words to me. And I was like, damn, have I gotten to the point that I just expect it to be long for people to raise funds to bury their loved ones? And I was like, that's, I hate that it's in my mind, but it's based on a reality, that I have experienced in my life. So for me to even have to be like, oh, that was quick. They got everything done real fast, for it to be like, wow. You know what I'm saying? But there's a huge cost to these things, and that people don't really take into consideration what may have been going on with the family, with this person, whether this person had been sick for a while and was able to plan, whether this was a sudden death. There's lots of things that will affect how things are handled based on how this person has left this earth. And a part of that, what I think when people shame people into doing GoFundMe's to raise money, maybe because the person didn't have life insurance, or maybe the life insurance wasn't enough to cover. A lot of times people, you don't even know the circumstance. And all I see all over Facebook, it's always on Facebook. I mean, please get a life insurance policy, because these GoFundMe life insurance policies, I need for you to shut up, because you don't know any of these people's circumstances. Because what happens to the day when you need to have a GoFundMe for somebody's funeral? Am I to come to your post and come under there and be like, I mean, did they have a life insurance policy? Is that what I'm supposed to say? You don't understand the circumstances. And I feel like a lot of people who say this, you don't even understand how life insurance works. Like, you have absolutely no idea.
I don't think people understand how insurance works, whether it's homeowners insurance, renters insurance, life insurance, car insurance, any type of insurance. First of all, you're insured for certain amounts of money, for certain things that happen. You also have a deductible that you have to pay. And so and I think anybody who has health insurance understands this. My policy I have to pay a certain amount every month. I'm going to say this astronomical number, and anyone who has to pay insurance is aware that fuck it, this is just insurance. My insurance is about $800 a month for me and Buck. Okay.
Oh, that was a lot. That's a lot. You saying that? That's a lot. That's a
I
lot.
have to pay that every month.
Yeah.
In addition to copays
Yes.
and medications.
Yep.
And say, for instance, Logan is dancing in the pep squad and falls incorrectly and breaks her arm. I have to pay my deductible before my insurance kicks in to pay anything. So if I set up a GoFundMe and I said, "Hey, Logan broke her arm. I got to pay these medical bills. You know, I'm trying to get $6,000," and your response is, "Why you don't have health insurance?" Bitch, I do. My deductible
Exactly.
is
Exactly.
$6,000.
Yes.
It's no different with life insurance. And here's the other thing with life insurance that I don't think people quite understand is when my dad died, he died April 14th, 2021. If there were any insurance policies, I mean, I didn't get to benefit from them, but if there were, that money, my mom didn't get that money on April 14th. She get that money on April 15th. She get that money on April 16th. Let me
Baby.
tell you, the financial impact, I'm gonna keep it funky with y'all. My dad had two pensions, okay? In order for my mom to be able to get those, she can't have her social security. Okay.
Girl.
She had to choose. Either you're gonna take your social security or you're gonna take your husband's two pensions and his social security. She says, okay, screw that. This is more money, right? Now, he gets this money every month. He's been getting this while he's alive. The minute he died, they froze it. And you know what else they did? They froze her bank account and his bank
Here's a
account
bank account.
because
Yep.
they had to make sure he was dead. And they had to make sure she didn't kill him.
Yep.
Do you know how long that can take, people?
Months.
Take one guess, Tamara, how long that can take.
I mean, it could take years if we. I mean, we really want to talk about it in certain situations. But I would say, on average, 6 to 9 months.
No. And so it could take that long if some fishy business was going on, but it usually take about 1 to 3 months. So
Yeah.
if you know that your mate is like sick and is about to die, it's advised have 1 to 3 months worth of money set up, not in your name.
Yep.
So I had to open a bank account and add my mom to it so we could have money, her money, some of her money in my bank account. So when they froze her accounts, she could still fucking live. So when people do these GoFundMe's and you guys want to shame them, talking about
Yep.
you're irresponsible, you need to have a life insurance policy. It doesn't matter. You don't get that money the same day that your loved one dies. You may not
Yep.
even get it that month. So what are
Right.
you supposed to do? Not bury this motherfucker until you get your life
Until you
insurance?
get your money, until you get your life insurance money. That's what people feel. It's so weird to me when they, excuse me, go on these rants to shame people for doing GoFundMe's, and a lot of times that you don't even know those people's circumstance.
Mm-mm.
You just speaking big and wrong because you want to feel self-righteous because you have
Yes.
life insurance. Get the
The
fuck
same
out of
thing
here.
is going to happen to you because, and here's the other thing about when people be like, it's only $16 a month. No, the fuck it's not. Shut the fuck up. If I got a life insurance policy, an additional one than what I have for my daughter today, that might be $16 a month
Right.
because she's fucking 13. But
Yes.
here's the thing. You can get term life insurance, and this is what people who make these wild ass statements are not thinking about. Term life insurance policies actually run out.
Yes.
So I can get a 20, 30 year term policy on myself and or my daughter. but that's going to run out in 20, 30 years. And when it does, I have to pay the rate of that time.
Yep.
It's not this rate back here.
Wait, and then paying. You have to think that the 20 to 30 years you've been paying, whatever you've been paying, you don't get that money back.
No, you don't. It's just that is the insurance. This is why insurance companies make stupid fucking money hand over fist, right?
Yeah.
So now imagine my daughter's 13 and I have a 30-year term on her. I don't want her to die in 30 years. No. Okay. I don't. But in 30 years, she'll be 43.
Yep.
And I will be 73. They do not, this is something else people don't tell you. When you get a certain age, they won't even insure you because you're about to die.
Exactly.
They will not insure you. Now, also something that these know-it-all, know-nothings won't tell you is that if you are sick in any way, shape, or form that is a illness that can take, it's known for killing people, they will not insure you because they don't want to pay that policy out.
Yep.
So before you run your fucking mouth and make all of these assumptions and, whoa, you don't have life insurance? You want to talk about this person's medical history? And don't shame people about that either, because let me tell you something. I'm getting genetic testing done now because cancer runs through my fucking family on both sides like a goddamn marathon. That's not my fault. I didn't ask for that. Right? But because I'm getting genetic testing done, there is a huge chance I can lose my life insurance.
Yep.
And no one else will insure me. Because if they get their hands on my genetic testing and it says that I am high risk for cancer, they can deny my insurance policies. I don't have cancer right now. I am high risk even before the genetic testing. There's like a 40% chance I'm going to get breast cancer. But yeah, this is why, as much as we want to talk about death and everything that's involved, it is very stressful.
It is. It's very stressful. And it's just, you know, just the amount of stress of losing someone and then having to deal with money afterwards. Yes. It's a wrap. Just hang it up. Like, I'm done. Cause like I don't want to talk about neither one of those things. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to deal with the death. And I definitely don't want to deal with no goddamn money issues on, you know, beyond that.
Or when your family thinks there's money there.
Oh God. And there ain't none.
Well, and here's the thing. My dad was very much so, this is my money. This is my money. Get out my business, right? So when he passed away, my mom didn't know how much money he had. She didn't know nothing. Nothing. She didn't have passwords to his accounts to sign in, but she got all of these people calling her about my dad's financial shit. Now, I wouldn't advise that. I mean, my mom and dad have been together since they were 16. Very, very old school, in that my dad was like, my money is my money. Your money is my money. Like, I don't, Jesus. That's not my thing, right? But I feel like just from a financial standpoint, when people are married, like that level of secrecy with your finances is crippling if something should happen to you. And you shouldn't be like, oh, well, I'm sick, so let me give them access now. You can literally step foot out your front door and get hit by a fucking car.
Right.
Or get struck by lightning. That's wild, but
yeah. I get what you're saying. Right?
Yeah. You know, anything can happen. You don't know when you finna take your last breath.
Yeah.
So to die and leave that financial burden, that type of financial burden on somebody else, I think it's a very cruel thing to do, because my mom is 65, and she had to figure out this shit. 66. She had to figure out a bunch of financial shit she didn't know nothing about. she didn't have nobody to talk to really. I tried to help her as much as I could, but I think there's also a little bit of pride there too. It's just like admitting that you don't know what you probably should know
No, yeah,
when your spouse dies.
yeah,
And I feel like this is our relationship. All the things that we have talked about from season 1 all the way up to season 3 about our relationships with things and people,
yeah.
all of this comes up when somebody dies.
Oh God, everything
All
comes
of
up
it.
when somebody dies. And again, like I have told you that my anytime my parents update something that needs to be handled after they are no longer with us,
Yep.
they update their will, they sign it, they send me and my sister a copy. Like they will tell us we have to get you a copy of it because we updated this and we updated that. We hear that all the time. And no, we don't like to have these conversations. No, but my parents have set it up so that everything is in order when and if something happens to them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that makes me, I think that was a conversation that Travis, when he lost both of his parents,
Mm-hmm.
that he made a comment about how his parents had everything set up and had him and his brother prepared for what was to happen when they were no longer here, so that everything went as it was
Mm-hmm.
because they had that information already taken care of. And that's a lot of times, again, nobody likes to talk about death or dying, but I mean, you need to get with your parents about wills, living wills, documents, things, because a lot of times, and this is honestly, a lot of times, especially I would say for me when I was younger, I think my parents gonna live forever. Like when you're young,
Yes.
they're gonna always be here. You know what I'm saying? So you never want to have those conversations, but as you get older and you start to see people pass away, you like, I gotta sit down and have these. I have to sit down and have these conversations about where's this money and how do I get to this account and who's responsible for this and who's responsible for that. I mean, my grandfather passed away and he left property to my mom and all her siblings, and they fought over that property for over 10, 15 years until it got settled.
And that's another thing, when people, any property or you think someone has money. I remember when my dad was getting close to the day, the weirdest conversations started popping up. Like, you talk to dad, or you talk to your father, or did he mention anything? And it's just like, this is weird. Like, I don't,
Yeah,
he's dying, but we're talking about money. Like,
yeah,
it was never my expectation that I was getting anything,
right,
period. But as a result of that, my mother was like, I see where we could have did better, and I'm gonna make you the beneficiary on everything because I want you to handle everything. And I'm just like, what?
right. You like, I don't want to handle that.
But I mean, because and when those things happen, you can tell. I could tell my brother and sister till I'm blue in the face. Mom doesn't have any money, and they were like, she's keeping it for herself. And it's like, I don't know what world you think we live in where mommy and daddy have money. They didn't have shit, niggas. They didn't have shit. But my mom, she hasn't sent me any paperwork. Now, my mom knows all of our social security numbers by heart. So that isn't to say she hasn't made me the beneficiary, but I haven't received anything. So I
Right,
don't know. It's just, and the relationship that I have with my mom,
right,
like, I won't know anything until she passed away and somebody called me.
right,
So it puts me in a weird situation because it's like, don't ever change your phone number because your mama she not she don't talk to you.
right.
But if they were gonna call, this is the number that they
Then they were
have.
called. Yep, this is the number they have.
So that's not really the financial. Well, it does have to do with the financial because if she passed away, they're gonna need to know what are the next steps. What do we do?
Yep,
I
what are we
think
doing?
Yeah, I think she wants to be cremated too, but I have a brother and a sister, and my family. be very disrespectful sometimes. Like they don't care what your wishes are. Like my dad, when he said he wanted to be cremated and he did not want memorial services. Do you think that that was honored? He was cremated, but there was a memorial service, and it was told that it was for us. That shit was not for me, my brother, or my sister, because we didn't get this outpouring of support because of that memorial service. I don't think out of everybody who attended that memorial service, one, one, one of the adults who knew my parents, only one contacted me. And these are people who saw me grow up, people who used to babysit me, people I
Girl.
called auntie and uncle. They never called me, never reached out to me. But you know how many of them used to like try to get in my business on social media?
Oh, all of them.
Right. But not one of those motherfuckers was like, I'm sorry to hear about your dad's death that
No.
attended my
I
dad's
told
memorial
you,
service.
unfortunately, funerals, shows like
They
weddings,
are.
they are.
Listen,
It brings out the ugly in everybody.
it does. There were people. Listen, I have seen the ugly sides of people's lives, okay, when they were at their lowest, at their worst. And these motherfuckers was having conversations with other people about my dad's death, not contacting me though. Not
Right,
even to say, sorry to hear your father passed away.
right.
It's like on top of what we discussed last week, which was the emotional impact and the financial impact, it's just like death is this huge thing that
Yeah,
you don't, as much as you remember about life, you will remember everything about the deaths that happen around you too. It's like it's one of those impossible things to forget. It
yeah, it
when
is.
I when I say impact, it's like in all capital letters.
Yeah. And it's true. It is very true. It's just, it's I just want people to be more aware of the financial burden that comes with death.
Oh yeah.
That I think people think, okay, the cost of the funeral, but like
Mm.
you have to think people that have been married for you know, my grandmother passed away before my grandfather did, but you have to think that my grandmother didn't work. So if my grandfather had gone before my grandmother, she was totally reliant on him. My grandmother did not drive. She did
Mm-hmm.
not. So it would have impacted her entire way of being.
Mm-hmm.
And then she didn't have nobody supporting her financially. Like, of course, she'll get like his social security. Okay.
That's
But
it.
my grandfather was making a lot of money. Like like you know what I'm saying? So if it had happened the other way, you have to really look at how people's lives change and how
Oh
their
yeah.
finances change when people die. I don't think that people look at the cost of the funeral, they talk about life insurance, and they think that's where the money stops. No, baby.
Oh yeah. And you know, speaking of financial impact, my mother, she didn't have to make more than a certain amount of money because my dad made more money. But now that he is gone, my mom's elderly. like I, and that sounds weird to say that because I don't think 66 is elderly, but it is, right? And she has to decide, okay, what job can I take to like make sure that I can keep the house, I can keep the car, I can do this and that, but without stressing out her old ass body.
Right.
And she can't make over a certain amount or she'll lose his pension.
Yep.
So it's kind of like it's also a reminder too when people die, depending on the age. It's a reminder of what you deal with when it comes to mortality, the
Yes.
different ages. Because you know, when someone young dies, that emotional impact is humongous because
Right.
you have the rest of your life to live knowing that this young person is they don't get to grow up, they don't you don't get to have them around or whatever. But when older people die and it's from illness and or just old age, they've lived these lives, but that emotional impact is still there. And then to have financial on top of it is just like, God damn.
Yeah.
Is there no rest for the weary soul?
No, no. Girl, because when the property taxes come, baby.
Yes. And so that's the other thing is my mom really understanding what goes into upkeep of everything.
Yeah.
My dad was taking care of it. She was like, it got done. But now she's finding out some things. My dad had brain cancer at as it was running through his body, but he definitely had brain cancer, and it like took some of his memory away. But he would forget to do certain things that he never forgot when he was younger, that he stayed on top of. And so now that he's passed away, it's coming back, and my mom's finding out certain things weren't paid, or he overpaid, or
Yeah.
he underpaid. And it's just like, again, while emotionally you were trying to deal with the fact that one of your loved ones is gone, you also still gotta pay Uncle Sam.
Yep.
Gotta pay these utilities, because don't nobody care that your husband just died. Your $130 electricity bill is still due on the 27th.
Yep.
Oh, we're sorry to hear Mr. Walker is gone. So are you paying that with cash, check, or charge?
Pretty much. That's it.
Like,
That's pretty much it.
that was one of the things my mom, she was saying. There were some people who gave her grace,
Right.
like literal grace periods because of a death. But once that grace period was up, was like, so Miss Walker, are you making your payment today?
Yes.
And
They'll
it's
be
like,
like,
my
hey.
husband's still dead. What are you saying to
Right.
me?
Yes, we know he's not coming back, but we still need our money. Like,
Yeah,
that's
you still need to pay this credit card, ma'am.
yeah, that's pretty
So
much it.
you also find out your mate has things you had no idea about.
Child.
Credit cards, banking. My mom found out my dad had bank accounts she didn't know about. And it got to the point where I think it was a lot for her to deal with, finding out these things that she knew nothing about, to the
Right.
point where she was like, I just don't want to find out anything else. This is too much. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So, you know, we have what is it, 2 more weeks? Two
Yes.
more weeks of death.
I think y'all will be able to handle it though.
I think so. Like, we're tackling the hard things. And this helps just with life, period. If me
Yeah.
and Tamara can get through this, we can get through anything.
Look, yeah.
It's also facing the reality that, we're not
Yeah.
getting any younger. We're
Yeah.
actually at an age where our parents are leaving us.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that, for me, I just want to respect the wishes of my parents. Like whatever
Yeah.
you need me to do. And I think in me and my sister's situation is that whenever our parents go away, there's a lot of property that's
Mm-hmm.
gonna come into play when they're not here. And I'm just like, because I even said to my dad, I was like, we don't have kids. Like, who we leaving stuff to? And he was like, I won't be here, so it won't matter to me.
Right. Right. Well, you can always leave stuff to your surrogate daughter.
Oh, girl, she already on the list. Look, that's one. Look,
Her
so
and your little cousin.
yes, yes. So she can get away from the
Right.
crazy. I want her to get away
Anyway,
from the crazy. So yeah, that's a whole different thing though.
yes.
But yeah,
We can wrap it up.
so yeah, we have one more wait, 2 more weeks to talk about death.
Yeah.
And my hope is that these conversations are opening your eyes, whoever's
Mm-hmm.
listening and or watching, to conversations that you might possibly need to have with your people.
Yes.
Because I feel like not enough of us are having these conversations with our people. Like, we make a lot of assumptions about our parents, and we need to stop that, especially when you get to be my age. You know, my mom is 73 years old.
Mm-hmm.
These are conversations I have to have with her.
Yep.
So,
It
you
is
know,
what it is.
it is what it is, but it's life, y'all. Y'all got to deal with it.
It is. So come back next week as we dig into another aspect of good old death.
I should just show up in a Grim Reaper outfit.
I know, right? With our scythe and our black cloaks.
Yeah, this is just see. They'll be like, "We're not watching this."
Right. Stay tuned.
Yes.
Anyway, bye.
Bye, y'all.